Ladies and legends, Andy here. I went from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy. If I can do it, you sure as hell can too. This is the Kill You're Gonna Loser show. Let's fucking go. One of the guys in my forums, the guy who goes by the username Red, asked me this really good question. He said, I'd like to know what sort of lessons you've learned from working with your coaching clients. And it really got me thinking. My coaching clients have had such an incredibly positive impact on, my happiness, my life philosophies. One thing that happens when you start coaching other people or when you teach other people or try and mentor other people is you really solidify a lot of your own ideas. You really cement a lot of the philosophies that you maybe haven't fully worked through and fully understood. It's like you come to a deeper understanding of some of your own philosophies when you try and teach it to somebody else. A lot of the time, our philosophies and the things that are in our head, they're kind of like vague and like nebulous and sort of not quite well defined. Like, it's almost like some of our philosophies are a feeling or we're acting on like gut instinct, but we haven't ever like taken pen to paper and written out exactly what we truly believe. Now, when you're teaching somebody else, when you're trying to coach somebody else, or you're just trying to give advice to somebody else, you have to be able to explain it coherently. It's no longer just a feeling. You can't just say, oh, I know what I would normally do in a certain situation, so just do what I would do. No, you have to explain. You have to almost go inside your own, past or your own philosophies, your own ideas, and say, why have I chosen to go down this path? Or these philosophies that I hold, why do I hold them? Because the person that you're explaining them to is going to ask you why. They're going to say, okay, why do you recommend I do this? Why are you telling me to do this? Why are you giving me this advice? So I'd say the first lesson that I really learned from my coaching clients is how to solidify my own philosophies, my own principles, my own likes and desires and preferences, and be able to package them up in a nice, neat way that somebody else can understand them or can take that, and maybe they have a different worldview to me, or maybe they have a different, set of circumstances to me. But how can I almost translate what I'm trying to get across to them? How can I speak my language and translate it into something that they will understand? So it's almost like a translation. That's a big thing that I've learned. I'd say the second thing that I've learned is I am the student. I'm not the teacher. In other words, I'm not the expert. Yes, I'm obviously giving advice. Yes, people are paying me money to hear that advice. You watching this right now, you're watching this because you're like, hey, I respect what you have to say. Some of you will even say, I look up to you. Great, brilliant. But I, for my own, peace of mind, hold myself to the standard or I put myself in the category of student. I don't want to be the teacher, or I'm happy to teach, but I don't want to ever see myself as like above my students. I don't ever want to see myself as like the expert who knows everything, because as soon as I get into that, or I put myself into that box of knowing everything, how am I going to learn anything new? No. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to defend and I'm going to argue and, I will debate people because I'm the expert, right? That's what experts do. They have to defend their position. They have to argue. You're not open to new information when you're doing that. Your mind closes off and you're not going to hear new or novel or interesting ideas because you're going to be too busy trying to defend your own ideas. And so as best as I can, I've tried to be humble. I haven't ever been perfect with it, but I've tried to be as humble as one can possibly be when they're sitting here, giving advice and ideas out to clients and to an audience and to a community and stuff like that. But I try and really hold myself to that standard of I want to be always learning. I want to be always growing. And the second that I sit there and I say I know everything, or I'm the expert, or you should listen to me just because I'm the expert and not because of the proof or because of anything else I might have done, I stop learning. Another thing I've learned is that not everybody is me. That might sound like a weird, radical notion, but I can't make my coaching clients do what I've done just because I did it. First of all, they might not want to. Second of all, they're not me. They have their own life experiences. They've gone through their own struggles and heartaches and all of that kind of stuff. There might be something that I'm naturally very good at, or I learn it very quickly. But for them, that thing might take them months or even years. And in the early days, I would get quite frustrated by that. Or the first couple of clients I had, I was trying to sort of push a square peg into a round hole. And I was trying to say, well, this thing that I'm encouraging you to do, it really worked for me. So therefore you should do it too. Instead of actually doing what would be helpful to the client, which is, I recommend you do this. However, if you can't do it, or if you try it a bunch of times and it just doesn't fit you, or you try it a bunch of times and you don't enjoy it, let's tweak it. Let's try something new. Let's try a different approach. Let's figure out what works. So it ties nicely into the first thing that I said, which is not being the expert. So that's probably the second biggest thing that I've learned is like, not everybody is me. And just because something worked for me doesn't guarantee it will work for someone else. Now, I also add that in, or I caveat that with every problem has a solution. So I'm not saying somebody cannot improve themselves. I'm just saying maybe an approach that I took or a piece of advice that I followed, maybe this person that I'm trying to help needs a different piece of advice or a different prompt or a different like cue or whatever it might be. They need some different way of looking at the problem. It's not always going to be the way that I did it. Further on that, not everybody wants what I want. I mean, I think I already knew that, but working with a lot of coaching clients really opened my eyes up to that. It's like some guys just want to come to me and have one girlfriend and marry her and have marriage and kids. Other guys will come to me and say, hey, I want to sleep with 100 women. Other guys will come to me and say, I just want to sleep with 5 women and then move on to business. Other people will come to me and say, I want to handle my business life first. I want to make a lot of money first and then worry about the women thing. Other guys will do it the exact opposite. They'll say, no, I'm really passionate about improving my dating and my sex life. Let me do that first. And then I will move on to business or to finances or financial freedom, whatever you want to call it. And so I've had to sort of check my ego or check my ego at the door and say, I'm going to stick my ego aside. If this coaching client comes to me and they say, hey, I'm very firm, this is what I want, this is, what I passionately care about. It took me a little bit, maybe it took me like 6 months of working with coaching clients before I could finally put my ego aside and say, it's not about what I want. It's not about my agenda or what I think would be best for this person. Now, if they ask me for recommendations, then yes, they're asking me for my agenda, so to speak. But when they come to me with a certain, set of principles or values or just certain goals that they want to achieve, I have to stick my ego to the side and say, it doesn't matter what I think would be best for you. And I still might give you my recommendation, but you're ultimately the captain of your own ship. You're the master of your own fate. It's not up to me to say what would be perfect for anybody. It's not up to me to say what would be right for anybody. I'm trying to empower you all. With this podcast, I'm trying to empower you all, with all of my content, to make your own decisions. I'm not the best decision maker for you. I'm not you. I don't have to live with the decisions that you make. I don't have to live with the consequences. I could just sit here and say, this is what you should do. And then it's like, but if that goes wrong, I don't have to deal with that. Or if that makes you unhappy, I don't have to deal with that. So it's very easy to be the expert and to just sit there and say, you should all do this. Everybody should do this. But no, it's your fucking life. You're the one that has to deal with those choices. You're the one that has to decide whether or not you're happy with those choices. It's not up to me to tell you what to do. You're always going to be in the best position to make your own decisions, right? Because you have that feedback mechanism that says, this isn't making me happy. Let me try something different, right? So it's, all of this stuff is very like custom. And a lot of my coaching is all of my coaching is very custom. It's like, I will sit down with each client and say, what does this person need? Like, what are they telling me they need? What are they saying they want? What are their goals? What gets them really excited? What are they afraid of? Like, what fears do they have that we can like bust through? What limiting beliefs do they have? And I'll very much like listen to the human being that's in front of me. And I'll say, what does this motherfucker want? I see myself rather than the expert. I try and keep myself in the position of like the facilitator. What I mean by that is someone comes to me with a list of goals or desires or wants, and I facilitate that for them. People come to me and say, I want to fucking start a business. Or, I did an interview with a guy recently, Laz, who already had a business. He was making like 20K a month. And he comes to me and says, I want to, increase my income. And I'm the facilitator for that. Okay. It's like, what limiting beliefs will you have? What, things are holding back? What are you afraid of? What's stopping you from going all in and pushing with this? Whatever you need, I will facilitate that. So that's been a big one. Another big lesson that I've learned is that generally speaking, everybody just wants to hear this one sentence from me. And before I say the sentence, it's what you listening right now are watching this for. You're trying to get this from me, whether or not you know this or not. You're trying to get this from every motivational speaker that you listen to, every person you ever go to for help, every like self-help, guru or whatever. You're trying to get this sentence or these two sentences. Everything is okay. Everything will be okay. That's what you're here for. That's what you're hoping I can sort of transmit into your brain or your heart or some sort of like feeling that everything's okay and everything will be okay. You're going to make it, kid. Like, you can get there. I know you're struggling. I know things are hard, but I promise you can get there. I did it. You can do it too. That's what you're trying to get from me. And that's definitely what all of my coaching clients are trying to get from me too. They're just trying to get permission to go for their goals, like permission that they're allowed their goals, that they deserve them. And they're just trying to be told, or they just want to be told that everything's okay. When they have a bad week and they're beating themselves up and they feel really stressed, that's when I swoop in and I go, hey, like, no problem. Like, how do we fix this? Easy. Everything's okay. Like, we'll fix this. Every problem has a solution. Don't stress. It's all good. They want to know that everything will be okay. That like all of these years of struggle and pain and suffering, whether that's business, whether it's sex, whether it's dating, whether it's whatever it might be, having no friends, depression, being suicidal, whatever it is that they're going through, they want to know that there's like a light at the end of the tunnel, that if they just push through and if I just hold their hand and help them through that everything will be okay. So that's a big thing that I've learned, because in the early days of the coaching, I would get very bogged down, like caught up in people's problems. Like if somebody said to me, man, I'm a virgin, I'm 31, no woman has ever even looked at me, I feel lonely, I feel depressed, I'd get very caught up in that. What I mean by that is I'd get swept up in it and I'd get bogged down and I'd feel like, man, this poor guy, this is so awful, this is so unfair, like this poor guy. And you think that's empathy. It sort of is, but it's not helpful empathy. It's kind of useless. It's me just reinforcing his own negative state of mind or his own unhappiness. I'm just making his problem even worse. And so, it took me a while to realize, wait, when people come to me with a problem, or when they come to me and they have these struggles that they're going through, they're coming to me because they want me to fix it. They want me to tell them that it will be okay. Why don't I just tell them that it will be okay? Why don't I just tell them that like everything already is okay? And it is. I've done so much content on changing your mindset, realizing that everything is already okay as it is right now. And all we're doing with self-improvement is just getting a little bit extra, right? Like everything in your life is fine right now. It is. Even if you sit there and tell me it's not, and maybe I'll do a separate podcast on this, but everything is okay. Even the stuff that you say isn't okay. It's okay. Or here's a better way of phrasing it. You're allowed to say that it's okay. You can say that it's not okay. I won't take that away from you if you don't want me to. You can give me a list of 100 reasons why your life is unhappy and miserable and it's not fair. Like, I won't take that away from you. That's not my shit to take away from you. That's yours. That's your story that you're clinging onto and holding very tightly because it's protecting you. It's getting you something. It's saving you from having to have courage and throw yourself into self-improvement. It's protective. It's a defense mechanism. Right? It's a very basic psychological concept that we call ourselves a victim so that we don't have to change because it's safe. It's safe, but it's not particularly empowering. It doesn't lead to a wonderful life. So, that's why if people are willing to listen to me, I will explain to them why everything is okay right now. That's obviously way easier with coaching clients. Like you listening right now, you might hear me say that and you go, yeah, but like I haven't had a woman be nice to me in years. How can you say everything's okay? Or I just got diagnosed with cancer. How can you tell me everything's okay? I did a podcast on this. Go to my Spotify channel, just search for the word cancer. I literally did about a podcast about a guy who'd just been diagnosed with cancer to show him that like everything's okay. Like just fix this. Just fix the fucking cancer. And if you can't fix it, then you die and everything's okay. The world continues on. So, separate podcast on that at some point. Another thing I learned is that sometimes the person just isn't ready to change their life or to improve themselves or to solve some of the problems that they have in their life, right? Maybe they're holding on to the victim mindset because it's a defense mechanism. It keeps you safe, it keeps you protected, it keeps you from having to do the things that are really scary because improving yourself can be terrifying. It can be. It's fucking scary. And so I learned that with some people, they're not ready to change yet. Even some of the people that have paid me money, there's been a couple who just aren't fully ready to change. They'll make changes. The coaching program ensures that, obviously, but they're not ready to like fully commit and go all in. They're not ready to like soar into the stratosphere and do crazy things just yet. And so what I learned in those cases, because at first I would just try and force the change on those people. And it took me a little while to realize like they don't want me to force the change on them. In fact, sometimes when you try and force someone to like fix themselves, it's almost like you're communicating to them that they're broken. Like you're implying like something is wrong with you and I need to fix you. And so it took me a little while to really wrap my head around this, but I am at a point now where when I have one of those clients, or maybe he's making a bunch of changes in one area, but in this one particular area over here, he's just not ready to change yet, right? When I have those clients, I realize that my job isn't necessarily to fix them. My job is to love them. And this isn't a concept that I got myself. It comes from David Hawkins in his book, Letting Go, because he was a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist. And he had the same thing with like one particular client that just would not do what he said. Like she just wasn't ready to make changes. But instead of trying to fix her, after like weeks and weeks and weeks of trying to fix her, he just said, maybe my job is to just love her. I'm going to pour all my heart and soul into just fucking loving her, to just be there for her, to just listen to her. To every negative thing she says, I will find a positive turnaround and I will say that to her. You know, I will tell her the things that I admire about her. Even if there's not very many of them, I'll go hunting for them. I will find them. I will get pen to paper, put pen to paper, and I will find reasons why I'm fucking inspired by her. I'll hold up a giant mirror to herself and reflect back her own bravery on her. Like these are all acts of love, right? Rather than trying to fix someone. And there's been so many times with a coaching client where I will want to get in there and fix their problem, but maybe they're not ready. And maybe it's not even a problem. Maybe it's just some shit that they're going through, right? Like they're feeling the gamut of like human emotions. And instead of me saying, oh, I need to fix your sadness, sometimes I'll just get in there and be like, man, I love that you're brave enough to admit to us, you know, the group, that you're feeling sad right now, bro. That's amazing. Like, I fucking love how brave you are. That's incredible, man. Like, sometimes that's all they fucking need. Yes, other times the problem, they want it to be solved, but a lot of the time, guys are just there to be told what I said before. Everything's okay and everything will be okay. I think especially as guys, we're hesitant to feel emotions too much, as in we'll feel the emotion and then we go, oh fuck, I gotta fix this. Or it's bad that I'm feeling sad. It's bad that I'm angry. Sometimes it's just being a fucking human being. So less fixing. And to be clear, I do fix things that, like I said before, I'm kind of I see myself as the facilitator. It's my job to facilitate your growth, to facilitate whatever goals that you might want. But a lot of the time my job is I just sit there and I say, hey, you're gonna make it. Like, it's all good. Like, you're going through a rut, that's okay. You're going through a bad patch, that's okay. That's what life is. Like, just don't quit, just keep going. And so I found that I have so much more success when I just support them during those moments, rather than me going, oh my God, it's so bad that you're sad. We got to fix this. What the fuck is wrong with your sadness? Like, you shouldn't be sad, bro. Let's fix this. And again, caveat, yes, I will do things to help them work through the sadness. I don't just say like, hey, sit there and be sad, but just having a little bit more, it's me being comfortable with the fact that my clients aren't always super happy and peppy and amazing. Other things I've learned are that human beings work best in a group, hence why all of my coaching includes the group coaching. It's so much easier to achieve things in life when you're surrounded by a group of people who are working on similar goals, or just working on any goals, but like willing to push you. So in the early days of my coaching, I would do a lot of like one-on-one calls. That's something I'm pretty much phasing out now. I still have a one-on-one coaching program if you want to work with me, but I've put the price up like so high that basically, like I've put it up to a price where I don't think I'll get many inquiries. Like that said, one person has signed up, but you know, it's up there at like $50,000 US, because it's like, I want to move away from one-on-one coaching and have only group coaching. That's kind of my life. Like that's the plan for the next couple of years, because group coaching is just fucking amazing. And to be clear, even the one-on-one coaching that I'm talking about here, I include the group coaching with that, because it's just like, honestly, there are times where it feels like people get more out of the group than me. Like, it really does feel like that. It really feels like just being around people who are working on the same fucking mission as you. Like, oh my God, it's so amazing for your mindset. A big part of that, or that's a big part of the reason why, with both coaching programs or with all the coaching, there's like a Discord group that's like adjacent to it. Like part of the coaching, you get to enter this like private Discord group that has all of the coaching clients that I've ever worked with in the past and will ever work with in the future. Because I want like a base or a group of guys that are really, really, really serious about their life. And so, just having that Discord group, I think there's like 100 people in that group at this point. It's been there for a little bit, for a year or so, I think. I think we made it a year ago. Just having that Discord group there so guys can go in there and say, okay, like who's working on their finances? Who's working on their dating life? Who's working on their happiness? Who's depressed and overcoming it? It's just really nice being surrounded by other people. So humans definitely work well in a group, or best in a group. One thing I definitely figured out. Another thing that kind of I've learned that I was really anxious and worried about at the start is people don't care how professional your coaching program looks. They care whether or not you helped them, right? And I'm not saying to have a coaching program that looks dog shit, but a big part of my philosophy is giving yourself permission to suck. And you'll see in a lot of my content, I would just give myself permission to suck. It's not the most professional. It's not edited. It's not brilliant. It's not perfect at all. And my coaching is very much like that. I can see the value of eventually making it look more professional, and that is a direction that I'm slowly moving towards. But I guess the point of this is I've realized that the thing is that is the most important is, did you actually help the person? Did you facilitate their goals? Did you get them the thing that they said they wanted? And that's something that I'm very happy to say we have in our coaching, which is people will come to us and say, this is what I want to achieve. And then we'll go, fuck, we're going to pour our heart and soul into making that happen. And we will make that thing happen. It doesn't matter if it looks professional or not. It doesn't matter if it's messy sometimes, which sometimes self-improvement is a bit messy. It doesn't matter if we have like 15 assistants running the coaching program with me and a whole team of people. Like, no, like fuck that shit. At the moment, it's myself, it's Cam, my fellow coach, it's the other members of the group, it's my girlfriend Imogen as well. It's this sort of like really tight-knit group of people that will just give a shit about your results and what you want, rather than like how professional things are. And you can use this lesson for any of your projects that any of you might be doing. If you're starting a website, oh my God, the best advice I can give you is like, don't make it look pretty. Don't worry about it being fancy. Unless you genuinely enjoy that side of things and you get joy out of it, just slap together a website in maybe like 3 days or something and just start fucking writing. Like, just start writing. If you have a YouTube channel, don't ask me, and I get these questions sometimes, don't ask me what the best microphone you should buy is, or which fucking camera should I use. It's like, just pick any that are decent. Like, just pick anything, any decent camera. Use your fucking phone if you want to. Get any kind of microphone that's decent. Just get a USB microphone for like $50 and just get started. And obviously the same thing applies to women, right? Rather than sitting there and memorizing a bunch of pickup lines over the next like 6 months, just go outside right now and say hello to a woman. You'll probably fuck it up because you're nervous. It'll probably be awkward and cringeworthy, but hey, that's how you get better. It's how I got better. Go talk to 100 women and you'll be pretty decent at it. You talk to 100 strangers you don't know, you'll be pretty competent at carrying a conversation and you won't be so terrified. So giving yourself that permission to suck, which I gave to myself with my coaching program, and I obsessed right from the very beginning with, the only thing I care about is, did I get this guy the result that he wanted? If I didn't, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to rectify that. And if I did, awesome. So it's just about that obsession with getting that person what they want. So another thing I learned, and this is very similar to the previous one, is that focusing 100% on giving value every day is the best way to help your clients. So focus on what you're giving rather than what you're getting. Like, don't worry about making it look fancy. Don't worry about like any of the bells and whistles. You can do that stuff later, but at the start, just focus on giving value. And that applies to women and stuff like that. That applies to like pretty much everything. If you give value, if you're a high value person in yourself, and if you're not, that's fine, just improve and you can get there slowly, gradually. But give as much value as you possibly can. Like, it just comes back to you in spades. It really does. Another question that this guy Red asked is, were there any unexpected insights that you have discovered about human behavior when working with them, as in when working with humans, I guess, when working with my coaching clients? Yeah, quite a few. A big one is that people have like a breaking point where they've pushed themselves a little bit too much. And that breaking point is usually a good thing, or you can use it as a good thing. So what I mean when I say a break it point is like a moment where you've put so much effort in and you've gone so hard and you just haven't had the results that you wanted. Or maybe you've had some of the results, but not as quickly as you wanted. And you hit that point where you're just like, fuck this. Like, I'm fucking sick of this. I've tried so hard for so many months and I haven't had the result. I call that like the breaking point. I also call it like the fuck it moment, because it's often a fuck it moment. Like, you'll sit there and you go like, fuck it. I'm going to do everything I can to go all in now. Like, I wasn't trying before. I was trying, but I could do 10 times as much as this. I'm sick of not having the result I want. Fuck it. I'm going to do this. And so often, like in the coaching program, guys will have that fuck it moment. And it's usually around like week 6 or week 8, somewhere around there, where they're having some results, but they know that they're capable of much more. They know what they're capable of. They know I could be doing 10 times what I'm currently doing. So they have like a breakdown, or like that fuck it moment where they're like, I'm not doing it. Like, I want to do more than this. Like, this is bullshit. Compared to what I know I'm capable of, I can do way better than this. And so those moments are like so unbelievably helpful. In the early days of the coaching, I would kind of avoid those like breaking moments or those like fuck it moments. I was trying to like keep people safe, I guess, right? But yeah, it's something that I fully embrace, that like human beings need a motivation or a reason why they're working on their goals, and having some sort of like little mini breakdown. And I'm not talking about a breakdown where the whole world falls apart or something, but like a moment in time where they go, all right, I fucking want this thing. I am so unbelievably serious about getting this goal now. Like, I want it. I fucking want it. Before I thought I really wanted it. Now I know I really fucking want it. I want this thing. And just like absolutely going all in and really going for that. It's such a useful moment. On top of that, which might sound a little bit like counterintuitive to what I just said, is that human beings have a need to recharge or relax, right? I used to think that you could just be David Goggins 100% of the time. Like, you could wake up every day and just go 100% all in, 24/7, just dedicating yourself to the mission. And you can do that for a certain amount of time. But what I've found is that every single guy eventually becomes less productive if he keeps that up. If you do that every day for weeks and weeks and weeks and months in a row without a single day off, or without even half a day off, like if I'm talking if you're just filling your calendar with 100% productivity 24/7, they all just get less productive. You get to a point where you're starting to almost like procrastinate your goals, and you're working on them every day, but you're almost like spinning your wheels. And what I've found is if you have like one day off a week, or even just half a day, but I recommend one full day off a week. I myself have done this for the last like 7 years or so. Have one full day off a week. And what you do is you use that time to really recharge. And what you'll find is when you have this time off, this day off, and you're recharging, you end up thinking about things like that you're going to do for the rest of the week. You end up thinking more about your goals and what you want long term. It's like a chance to step back and make sure that what you're doing is actually effective. And half the time when you have this day off, you go, man, I think I've been spinning my wheels and I haven't been as effective as I could have been. Man, I'm really glad I gave myself this chance to have a break and just relax and recharge and think about things. Yeah, I'm going to change starting tomorrow, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change that, and I'm going to change this. It really does lead to much more productivity. It's basically what I'm saying is for every 6 days that you're on, that you're really busting your fucking ass, I would have at least one day or even just half a day, but I would recommend one full day. We just sit there and almost like analyze or debrief what you've done for that week and think about it. So I think human beings have a need to recharge. I don't think we're capable of going 100% all the time permanently. At least I haven't found anyone that is. Maybe there's some exceptions to that. There might be, but let's just say the vast majority of human beings, or all of the coaching clients that I've seen, need at least a little bit of time to relax. Final thing I've learned about human nature is that sometimes humans just need to be listened to, or they feel like they just need to be listened to. And it's not so much about fixing it or about like solving their problem. Sometimes they're just really alone, and similar to the one I said before of like everyone just wants to hear that everything is okay. Sometimes what they need to hear is you're not alone. It's not just you by yourself. And how many of you watching right now have had that feeling, right? Where you feel like you're the lone wolf, or you're like the alpha male or the sigma male or the omega male or whatever. You're like, it's me against the world. That hurts after a while. It really is fucking lonely being completely by yourself and being convinced that women will never understand you, that other guys don't understand your struggle, that yes, they went through struggles, but their struggles were different. My struggles are unique. My struggles are worse than theirs. Like I have bigger problems than they do. It's lonely. It really becomes really fucking lonely. And I think we've all, or a lot of us, have given into those feelings. I know that I have a lot in the past, and quite a few of my coaching clients, and maybe some of you listening, do sort of get stuck in those thoughts of like, I'm alone, like nobody else understands my plight. And so in those moments, some of my coaching clients need me to just shut up and listen. Like there's nothing even to say. It's just me sitting there and listening. And really all I'm doing there, and sometimes I will even just say that, I'll say, I'm here. I'm right here with you. I'm here. Like that's all they really need. I remember one coaching client in particular that I was doing like in-person coaching with, and we would go out and we would talk to girls together, and I would work on his confidence and his mindset, and really with this guy, getting him to just love himself, I think more than anything, or giving himself permission to go for these goals. But we had one day where he was just really fucking frustrated, and as soon as we met, I could tell that there was just like a dark cloud over him, right? He was almost depressed. And, the temptation is to get in there and solve that for him and fix it and just go like, all right, come on, man. Like, we're here. We need to talk to girls. But you just get a sense, you get better at this the more you've done it. You get a sense sometimes of when a client is about to have a fucking like they're just about to sit there and burst into tears. And in those moments, that's not the time when you go, come on, man, like, let's fucking get it. Those are the times where I've learned to just shut up and listen. And so this one client in particular, we just walked around for like maybe 2 hours. And for the first hour, I said basically nothing. I just let him talk. I just let him vent. And there were a couple of times where there was like a long silence, and I just left the silence. I was just like, we're just going to have a long fucking silence. And then he would start talking again. Then there'd be like a long, like sometimes even a couple of minutes long of just silence. And every now and then I would say like, I'm here, man. I'm listening. Yeah, man. That sounds rough. And I just listened to him. And yeah, by the end of that session, he told me during that, like at the end of that session, and then he told me the next time we met, he said, that was the best session that we've had so far. That's like, I didn't do anything. I just listened. But sometimes that's what people need, and not just coaching clients. Sometimes that's what humans want, right? They just want to know that they're not fucking alone. So there's something in human psychology that worries that this whole fucking universe, this whole cosmos, this whole thing that we're in right now that we call life, as human beings, sometimes we worry that like, maybe I'm by myself, right? Like maybe nobody else will ever understand me. Maybe nobody else will ever be able to feel my pain or my suffering, or maybe I can never get anyone to fully empathize with me and understand me. It can feel very fucking lonely. And I think we have this desire to be told that we're not alone. It's why physical touch is so fucking amazing, to just feel someone's presence with you, to just talk to another human being. Eye contact, it's why that is so fucking powerful. If someone just looks into your eyes and listens to you, it can be life-changing. It can be life-affirming to realize I'm not just going through this fucking mission called life by myself. Like, you're here with me. So another question that this Red guy asked is, and by the way, Red, these are amazing questions. These are like good fucking questions. Have the actions of your clients influenced any of your perspectives on life? Absolutely. So especially directly, Cam, you guys know him as Radical. Maybe some of you don't know. He was one of my first ever coaching clients, and we had a couple of sessions together in person. We did a couple on the, over Zoom, and I think we did, I don't know, like, I'd be guessing somewhere between 10 and 20 calls. I can't remember, but we did a fair bit of coaching together. And you know, he influenced me in more ways than I could ever say in a video. And I've done a few videos specifically called like Thank You Radical or Thank You Cam or I'm Grateful to Cam or like Cam has helped us so much. I've done quite a few videos where I specifically like shout him out and say all the things that he's changed, but he has to be right up there at the top of that list of my coaching clients who've had an impact on my perspective. Like, so many fucking insights there, but more than anything, I'd say he's also directly pushed me to like start the forums. The forums don't exist without Cam. You guys have to understand that. Like he was the one that nagged me. A couple of other people did too, but especially him. You know, opening up about topics that I hadn't really ever talked about, that he was like, dude, you have to do videos on this. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that shit. I don't know if I have enough to say on that topic. I'm kind of doubting myself. I don't know if I could help people on that. And he was like, no, dude, like seriously, talk about this stuff. Like me talking about cold approach and going outside and talking to women, because that isn't something that I've done a whole lot of. I'm very clear about that. I've only approached 1,000 and something women. I've only had sex with 10 women from in person, from cold approach. Like those are kind of rookie numbers in some of these communities. Now, for a lot of you, you'll go, bro, like 1,000 women that you didn't know you've hit on, directly like hit on them and asked for their phone number. And then you had sex with 10 of them. Bro, that's a lot more than me. But you know, it wasn't something that I was super confident to talk about. And he was like, no, dude, like you can get people to your level. You can get people to the point where they've had sex with 10 women that they've cold approached. So just get them to that level. So he also pushed me to talk about business. Again, I don't feel super confident talking about business because my income right now isn't super consistent. Right? It's not. I'll have 1 month where I earn like $50,000 and then I'll go 4 months where I earn basically nothing. And now that's 100% on me. That's because I'm not consistent with talking about my coaching. That's because I'm not consistent with pushing people to sign up. And when I say pushing, I mean like motivating. I'm not pushy, but you get the point. So Cam has absolutely influenced and impacted directly and indirectly my life in like 1,000 different ways. Listening to me when I was really upset many times over like negative criticism, I used to really take that to heart. It used to fuck me up, some of the things that people would say to me. And Cam was always there for me and he would listen and he'd be like, bro, you're going to get through this. So big shout out to him. Ed, a lot of you know Ed. Ed has helped me be a lot more open-minded and more free thinking, especially with the lockdowns in 2020 and 2021. He had a lot of positive things to say about that. He went through a dark period himself during that because he's a very libertarian, like open-minded, freedom-loving person, and he really struggled with the lockdowns. But watching him have the strength to get through that and to move to a place where there were more freedoms, and just watching him navigate something like that and his own sort of like crisis with humanity, because he went through a period where he's like, I don't know if I like humans. And I was like, yeah, buddy, me too. Let's kind of go through this together. And so it was this nice thing where I was coaching him, but he was also really having a big positive impact on my own freedoms and my own idea of libertarianism and shit like that. So I will always be really grateful to him for that. He definitely got me through a really rough period. He was one of about 5 people that like I really, I won't say leaned heavily on, but had a very positive impact on me at a time when I really, 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 really wasn't happy and really was suicidal and shit like that. So I'll always be grateful to Ed. Some of the other things that I've said earlier in this video, like that I had to learn that other people have their own principles or philosophies or way that they want to do something, and it's not on me to like force my agenda onto them. Ed helped me with that a lot. Especially when it comes to some of the goals that he had and me helping him with those goals. In the first couple of months of our coaching, had a certain way that I thought he should do it. And he tried that and he committed to that. He did a really good job of committing to that, but he just got to a point where he's like, I can't do this. This isn't me. And it was him. It was specifically Ed who made me realize, oh fuck, I can't just force someone to be like a carbon copy of me. This is his, like Ed is his own person, and all of my coaching clients, they're their own person. Just because I did something a certain way doesn't mean that they 100% have to do it that same way. So Ed definitely gave me that and had a very, very, very strong impact on my like perspective on life, and that everybody else has their own rule book. You know, that's a quote I've said many times. I got that from one of my friends, actually. Everybody has their own rule book, like their own rule book that they use to navigate life, their own preferences, likes, dislikes, all of that kind of stuff. And it's not up to me to force my rule book on somebody else. a lot of the unhappiness in society, or in like a lot of the unhappiness that people feel, is because they're trying to force their rule book or their agenda or their opinion or their preferences on someone else who doesn't agree with it. And then those two sides have to butt heads and fight each other. It's so much more peaceful to just realize, all right, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. Cool. Isn't that beautiful that we both have different opinions? It makes the world interesting. How much would you just solve American, especially American politics immediately, if the left and the right and the liberals and this and like the two opposing sides, if they just said, hey, you over there, you believe that thing. Yeah, and I see that you believe that thing. Cool. Like, everything would be fucking solved immediately. You still could debate. You still could say like, well, what if we do this? What should the policy be on this? But at least some sort of like respectful understanding that other people aren't you. And most of all, other people aren't wrong just because they don't have your opinion. And that there is no one true opinion. I think people get caught up in that, don't they? Instead of saying, this is my opinion, they'll say, no, this is the truth. Yours is an opinion. Mine is the truth. And it's like, fucking hell. Everybody's just going around saying, mine is the truth and yours is an opinion. And it's like, you're just going to fucking butt heads and fight with each other till the end of time. So it helped me a lot with that stuff, with being open-minded and not pushing my agenda. And I'm not someone that's ever really pushed agenda, but it really helped me become like a hardcore fucking, okay, like I'm just going to be a free love fucking spiritual hippie and whatever you want, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, as long as everybody that is involved in it consents and is happy and you leave them better than you found them. Fuck yes, whatever you want, that's what we're going to get you. It doesn't matter what I want. It's what you fucking want. It's not about me and my big fucking ego thinking how you guys should do whatever it is you want to do. So I never really tell you what to do. And even all the advice I give, like I have so much advice on getting laid and having lots of sex and all of that. I'm never going to sit here and tell you that you should get laid, right? I can tell you, if you come to me and say, I want to get laid, I'll tell you all the reasons that I think it will impact your life and improve your life. If you come to me and say, I have this goal that I want to get laid, I will do everything I can to help you with that goal. But I'm never going to tell you that you should. You know, like if some guy comes to me, and I've had coaching clients that come to me and say, I just want marriage and kids. And I'm like, fucking sweet. How do we get that for you? Let's do it. Like, that's what you want. I will facilitate that for you. Let's make that happen. So I'll never tell you guys what to do. Ravi is a client that I've had on plenty of podcasts, and he's a moderator on our forums now. On there, he goes by the username Making a Comeback. He has his own YouTube channel. He's come leaps and bounds, but Ravi has definitely shown me that more is possible. What I mean by that is he works an incredible amount every day. Like, he just gets insane shit done. And so he's had a very positive impact on me. Like, a lot of the time I will sit there and go like, what is Ravi doing today? Ravi has recorded like 3, 5, 10 pieces of content today. Fuck, I'm going to record like 5 pieces of content today. You know, Ravi has just spent 16 hours working on his business today. Fuck, what would happen if I spent 16 hours working on my business? And so I've taken a page out of his book. He's really, really, really helped me with that. Of all the people that are on our forums, he, at least for me, and bear in mind, I don't know everyone on our forums. Obviously, I don't really go on the forums that much, if I'm honest. But of all the people that I've ever seen, Ravi works the hardest, in my mind. There may be exceptions to that. If you're the exception to that, namaste, good job. But Ravi is the one that comes to my mind as the hardest worker, or the most consistently hard worker. I think other things that I've realized, or that have impacted my perspectives on life, with quite a few of my coaching clients, they've come to me with a certain goal. Like, they say, I want to have more sex, or I want to make more money, or I want to lose weight. But with some of them, what I discover that they actually want, or what they're craving, is like the deeper, meaningful conversations about like the meaning of life, free will versus like determinism, you know, our place in the cosmos, whether this is all a fucking simulation, why we're here, the inner workings of the brain and the way that mind and consciousness works, like the duality or non-duality of the mind, depending on what you believe. Like some of those really deep fucking concepts that maybe I'll do more content on in the future. I've done plenty of content on those things, especially if you go to my Spotify channel, my Spotify podcast. I do a lot more of that, like not esoteric, but that more like spiritual, that more mindset shit than I do on YouTube. YouTube's a little bit more about sex and dating. Spotify tends to be a little bit more about the mindset and shit like that. So having these conversations with some of my clients, deeper conversations about like, are some people just born lucky, Or is it hard work? Like, did I get to where I am from hard work, or was it luck, or was it both? Like, was I chosen? Like those of us who really, achieve our goals and shit like that, were we chosen, or was it pure hard work? Can anybody be chosen? Like having these sort of like deeper conversations with some of my clients, like it's really helped me, like I said at the start of this podcast, solidify some of my own thoughts. And I don't have the answers to a lot of these questions. How the fuck could I know like what consciousness is? How could I know that? Nobody on this planet right now knows that, right? How could I know whether we're lucky or not? But just in having these discussions and really opening my mind and listening to clients talk to me about what spirituality might mean for them. Some of my religious clients will open up to me and tell me what God means to them. And I used to have such a fucking closed mind when it came to like God or religion. I was like, if you believe in God, you're an idiot. If you believe in religion, you're stupid. Like only stupid. I was like Captain fucking Autismo atheist, right? But over the years, I've learned to actually fucking listen to what the person is saying, and they're telling me their truth, or they're telling me what has helped them, or their understanding of existence, or their story about existence, what they believe, or the story that they're currently believing, right? And listening to that shit has really, really, really opened my mind to other possibilities, right? So that I can sit here and say to you, and be very honest about it, and tell the truth, I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of these questions, whereas in the past, I was convinced that I did know. And as I said earlier in this podcast, when you sit there and say that you do know and that you're the expert and you have all the answers, you're not open to new possibilities. You stop learning, you cease to learn. So, a lot of my clients have had this very positive impact on my psyche and my openness to spirituality especially. So I'll always be grateful to them for that. And I was going to say, a lot of the clients that come to me, they'll say, I want to sleep with 5 women in the 12 weeks of coaching. And I'd be like, bro, we'll do that in the first 5 weeks. That's easy. What shit do you want after that? What actually gets you fired up? What do you actually care about? Like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Is sex going to satisfy you for the rest of your life? Just chasing pussy? No, of course not. Like, unlikely. What do you actually care about? And I'll get them to really open up, and I'll ask them questions they've likely never been asked before. Questions like what is your meaning of life? What do you care about? Like, what are you here for? What do you believe the purpose of all of this is for? Like, how do you feel when you are kind and compassionate to other human beings versus when you're selfish and just get whatever you want? Like, which one of those feels better? And obviously most people say kindness and compassion. So I say, how do we move you more towards those things? So it's more like a spiritual unkinking, or a spiritual when I say unkinking, imagine like a hose that's all kinked up. It's like I'm unkinking that knot. I'm freeing up some of your stuckness, some of the barriers to those like higher life philosophies of like, how can I be compassionate to other people? How can I give to other people? How can I make the world a better place? Like, that's a question that I'll ask quite a few of my clients. Like, how do you plan on making the world a better place? And they're like, whoa, I thought I was just here for pussy. And I'm like, no, fuck that. If you were just here for sex, I'd just go go talk to women, go on Tinder, boom, done. That's easy. I can do that shit, or we can do that shit in a couple of weeks. But the deepest shit is what I really get passionate about and what I really care about. So at this point, it's probably 50% of my clients will come to me for one thing, but then we'll go down this track of the complete other thing. And some guys will literally just come to me and say yo, hey, I heard you say on a podcast that you're talking about the deeper meaning of life. I don't know what my meaning of life is, bro. I have so many questions. Can we talk about it? I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do coaching. So I've had some clients where I just sit there for 12 weeks and all we talk about is the meaning of life and how to use their brain more effectively and how to be more productive and how to train themselves to be a more efficient human being as they navigate and go through the world, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of that stuff gets me very fired up, if you can't tell. And finally, I'd say that a lot of my more laid back or hippie, loving, I guess you'd say, clients have helped me love people more. There's been clients where I'm not going to lie, I'll just be sitting there listening to the guy and I'll be like, man, I fucking love this guy. Some of my female clients, same thing. I'd just be sitting there going, I fucking love this woman. What a lovely human being. What a wonderful human being. And so getting to, it's like I get an invitation into someone's psyche or into the deepest parts of their soul that maybe they haven't told anyone else. And the stuff that people share with me, the vulnerability, the strength and the courage that it requires to, for them to open up, oh my God, it just makes me fall in love with humans over and over and over again. It really does. And I get the same thing with some of you that leave like YouTube comments and you tell me what you've worked on or what your struggles are and how you're overcoming them. I can't help but fall in love with you guys and girls. Like, honestly, it's such a beautiful, privileged thing that I'm doing. I feel like I'm in such a great position. I really, really, really do. So, you know, that's everything I think I've learned. I could list a couple hundred extra things. Red, I really appreciate these questions. These are really fucking good questions, by the way. Like, I had fun doing this. I hope you guys had fun listening to this. Obviously, if you would like coaching, if you'd like me to help you smash your goals and, you know, work on any of the stuff that we talked about here today, you know, whether that's like dating, if that's money, if that's some of the deepest shit, right? Like, you're sitting there thinking, I don't know my place in the cosmos. Like, what price would you put on being able to figure out that fucking answer, right? Like, the coaching is only $7,000. You tell me you wouldn't pay $7,000 to know the rest of your life, like the meaning of your fucking life. And that's what, you know, we've been able to give some of my coaching clients. They've come to me and they've said, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I want to be. I don't know my place in this universe. I feel lost. I feel fucking stuck. I don't know. And by like week 6 or week 8, they're coming to me and saying like, man, everything's okay. Everything you've been telling me, Andy, you keep telling me everything's okay and that everything will be okay. Today, I fucking felt it. I felt it on a deep core emotional level. I actually felt like my soul was okay for the first time in my fucking life. And some of these guys will hit me up like a year or 2 later and they'll send me an email and they'll say like, dude, like, it's stayed with me. That feeling of like everything is okay, that feeling of understanding who I am, of knowing who I am and loving myself and all of that, that's still here years later. You gave me that, dude. Again, like, what price do you fucking put on that? That's, god damn it, it's like invaluable. So if that's something that sounds appealing to you, we have payment plans. If that's something you need, we'll do whatever we have to do to work with you. I am happy to jump on a free call with people. Please only do that if you're considering coaching. Like don't just, you know, jump on a call if you have no interest in coaching, because I'll just immediately leave the call if that's the case. But I'm happy to jump on free calls and talk through any concerns that you might have. A lot of people come with concerns of like, I don't know if I can spend the money. How do I know if it'll be worth it? I'm scared of putting this much money down. I understand it's a decent amount of money, right? It's not like it's chump change, but I will talk through those things with you. I'm happy to help you with those things and we'll do whatever it takes to make it work. Like I said, I'm the facilitator, so whatever goals that you have, and Cam, my fellow coach, you know, we both coach you together. He's a facilitator as well. Whatever it is that you guys and girls want, we will make that happen. On top of that, there's plenty of like members only content that we have made. We've got a couple of books. We've got a bunch of podcasts and stuff that you only get access to if you sign up for the coaching. So all of that, not to mention the Discord group that I said, you stay in there for life and network with all the other guys. We would love to have you as part of the program. I'll leave a link in the description to that. As always, namaste, all that good shit. Go out there and crush your goals.